Brilliant. So today I wanted to give you an update on the market, really, not talk about VRCO so much. I wanted to pick out some relevant events and also provide you with a quick status of where we are at VRCO. We're not quite here yet, but significant progress has been made. And in fact, you can see that progress at websites such as Transport Up. And here that's giving us a really good overview of over 80 craft, 86 craft. On the left-hand side, you have their view of the top 18, so what they're calling their watch list. And then we have winged eVTOLs. So as the name suggests, these are aircraft with wings that create lift. They're powered by electric distributed motors, and they're capable of vertical takeoff and landing. We then have wingless eVTOLs. So these, as the name suggests, don't have wings, but they still have multiple rotary DEPs, the distributed electric propulsion thrust systems, and they're capable of vertical takeoff and landing. And then we have some of the more exotic hover bikes and single person craft that are coming on market or coming under development. It's been really helpful to see this Advanced Air Mobility Reality Index be published. And this is defined by NASA as an air transportation system that moves people and cargo between places previously not served or have been underserved by aviation, and now using revolutionary new aircraft that are only just becoming possible. Last year, I discussed about power density, battery power energy, the processing required to control multiple instances of DEPs, and just generally how the market back in 2016 had all come together. The underlying components had all matured at the same time to make this a reality. Now we're actually seeing OEMs put considerable amount of investment into this, and we're seeing the fruits of that. And let's put that into a little bit more detail. So it's a rating tool, this reality index. There is a proprietary formula there. It's got nothing to do with me. It's a third party. They use publicly available information, expert knowledge, and then we can see there the ARI is ranked on that third column. At the top, we have EHang. The type is a multicopter. Its propulsion is electric. It is autonomous, so you don't need to be a pilot or licensed to be a pilot as such. The model name, the 216 there, the first was in 2019, and it's expected in service in 2021, which this year. And in fact, it has already commenced trials in China. And then we have the whole list there: Joby, Beta, Archer, Wisk, Hyundai, Volocopter, Eve, Sabre Wing, Vertical Aerospace, a UK Bristol-based company that is making great progress here, Airbus, Lilium, Pipistrel, Elroy Air, Dufour Aerospace from Switzerland, which I particularly like, and then Bell based in the US. We're not on that list ourselves, VRCO. I guess we're just not on the same sort of radar. We were on the Transport Up page. So in the middle, I'll even use my mouse. We are there. But in terms of this reality tool, this is looking at productions of thousands of units. So that's what they're looking to see come to the market. It's unrealistic, talking about reality, it's unrealistic that we're going to see a flying DeLorean of our dreams seared into our imagination, I think in 1985 off the top of my head. And that's because restricted airspace is now opening up over cities for electric aircraft. So why drive when you can fly? And also when you think about it, the additional inefficiencies for adding a driving capability to an aircraft are really likely to compromise range and performance in the air, and that's your primary design principle here is to have a great aircraft that's efficient at flying. So unfortunately, it's unlikely we're going to see something like that come to the market. But heaven behold, only just this month, we've had an announcement from Aska, which is a US-based company, that they do intend to do exactly that. So am I expected to eat my words, or am I just going to raise one eyebrow and go, "Are you sure, guys?" But yeah, they're convinced that this is the right thing to do. So they are coming to the market with a craft that can both drive on the highway and be capable and crash worthy and all the things that it needs to be for driving on a freeway, whilst at the same time, if you choose to, you can fly above the freeway. And I think if we're all in that aircraft, we want to be in one place, and that's in the air. But still, they're going ahead, and they're inviting people to put money down and to order one. So let's see how many orders they get for that. Bringing it back to the UK and to something that is very real. In January, we saw the announcements of AirOne, which is in partnership with Hyundai. And this is their name for an urban airport instead of the industry term of a vertiport. I prefer vertiport myself. They intend it to be fully operational in November this year, after it's chosen as a winner for the Future Flight Challenge led by the UK government. And it's going to be located in Coventry. And apparently it's going to take just mere days to set up, hence it's also referred to as a pop-up facility. So we're seeing significant movement now on the underlying infrastructure and the desire to put in place suitable landing spots, which clearly, if we're going to build all these aircraft, they need to be able to take off and land and recharge places. Other significant news in the US, Volocopter have sought the authority there, the FAA approval for US air taxi launch. And this is significant. If we go back to the reality index, you can see that it's not in the top 3, it's not in the top 4, it's actually at number 7. So how come they've already gone forward for this, I guess, capability or approval to move people? Well, let's have a look at this. It's 6.2 on the reality index. They don't intend to produce thousands initially. It's an air taxi, it's a multicopter, it's electric, it's piloted. That's a good thing. We think that these aircraft are going to come to the market a bit like a Tesla today. You have somebody who's insured and licensed behind the wheel at all times and capable of it, unless you're 2 elderly pensioners and you decide to get in the back at about 10 o'clock after having a few beers and take over a test drive. You should still be in control of this craft. And then it is, the model there is a Volocity. We do forecast that remote piloted, so it'll go piloted initially, then remotely piloted, and then potentially autonomous. I think we're all comfortable with a commercial aircraft in the sky being under control of the aircraft systems, but still have a pilot behind it. So piloted, optionally piloted, remotely piloted, and then autonomous is the likely development path of this. And Volocopter are doing it exactly as we're forecasting. So they're coming in with the piloted bit. First flight was back in last year. In fact, I was there at Singapore in the Marina Sands Bay in October, and they're estimated in service or in service time 2022 coming out of Germany. So that's why that's significant. They're actually second in terms of bringing out a product into service. So next year. Other big news on one of the challenges of bringing any sort of new airframe to the market is getting regulatory approval. And here in the UK, we've seen Seize AI get permission to have beyond visual line of sight BVLOS flights without needing to pre-authorize each flight. So this is very significant, especially for remote piloted unmanned aerial systems, which are likely to be the go-to type for cargo delivery systems. And talking of which, we have ourselves at VRCO formed a partnership at the end of September with ESR, which is a Hong Kong listed entity focused on logistics. So they have probably the Far East's largest platform of warehouses and logistics, and they're the main provider for Amazon. And we're working with them to define what an eVTOL distribution ecosystem could look like, to allow them to show the movement of cargo using this type of aircraft from suitable ESR properties. So once we've gone through this feasibility study, we will be looking at putting in place experimental trial flights. And if that goes successfully, then we'll be looking in what a operational fleet should look like for the needs defined. Quite a lot of the early feasibility work is focused on simulation. So we've developed a really good capability in-house to be able to simulate all different types of aircraft going into the sky and to manage the air traffic around that. And that's helping us, ESR and stakeholders such as the regulators, understand what's going to be involved in this type of ecosystem. So yeah, quite substantial for us. And other big news that you will have heard of, I think, is that there's lots of funding going on with multiple special purpose acquisition companies involved, providing the necessary capital resources for companies such as Joby there on the left. We've got Lilium confirming that it's doing a deal with Quell. And then on the right there, we've got Blade involved in one as well. And not to miss out, we ourselves at VRCO have been approached and have now merged with the Aero Group, and they're based out of the US. This is pretty significant for us because the Aero Group have a whole range of complementary aerospace entities within that group. So we have Aspen Avionics and others involved in drone delivery, others involved in programming, others involved in the composites and air traffic management. So it's hoped that that gives us a much broader scope of expertise to be able to make our project a success. And also, if it deemed attractive, then potentially that will be going into one of these special purpose acquisition vehicles as well. And then finally, this hopefully is the vision of AirVolution over the capital, ideally beyond 2023, potentially 2023, 2025 in that time range. So if everything goes to plan, then hopefully you can take a ride in this type of vehicle over London then. So thank you very much.